Good morning, children. I hope you all might be fit and fine and might be aware of the news. You all might be watching news daily. And yeah, I must say that you all might be aware of the news that the lockdown has extended till 31st of May. So, children, do not panic. Do not get worried. What you all need to do is eat healthy, pray more to God, do not trouble your parents, and last but not the least, stay positive. Now, let's come back to studies. Today I am here with another poem, that is The Lake Isle of Innisfree by William Butler Yeats, that is W.B. Yeats. So, let's begin with the poem. But before that, it happens that there are many times when we get sick and tired of the crowded and noisy city, and the only company we would want is that of the chirping of birds, the gurgling sound of lake, and the picturesque view of the mountains. Children, have you ever wondered that why some people have vacation homes in isolated location like the mountains or an island? I'll tell you why. Because they want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the crowded city. And so does the speaker of our poem that we are going to read today. I'm sure that you might be fascinated by the name of the place, Innisfree. Innisfree is a place near the coast of an island where the poet's name W.B. Yeats, who has spent a lot of time of his childhood and loved the place dearly. This poem is more of Yeats' longing for his return to this place of his childhood. So let's recite the poem once to know what it is all about. So let's read the entire poem once, and then we can roughly come with an idea that what is this all about. Let's begin. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loved glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnights all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evenings full of the linnet's wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day. I hear the lake water lapping with the low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's grey, I hear it in the deep heart's core. Through this we see in the poem that the poet declares that he is planning to go to Innisfree, where he will build a small simple cabin. Cabin means a small house. There he will have a little bean garden and a honey bee hive. The poet expresses his desire to live alone peacefully, with nature. Again, he restates that he is leaving because every night he hears the water lapping against the shore. Where does he now? The poet, although living in an urban place with paved road, longs for the natural place filled with natural beauty. Deep down, the poet is drawn to the sound of lapping of water and not to the noisy, crowded city. So, now what the poem is all about. So, let's read one stanza at a time and try to understand the underlying meaning of the poem. So, as you can see, children, there are 3 stanzas in this poem, and each stanza has got 4 lines. So, the stanza which has got 4 lines, those kind of stanzas are termed as quatrain, Quatrain, quatrain. So, now let's begin with the very first stanza of the poem. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin built there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honeybee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. So, children, in the very first stanza of the poem, the poet begins by telling the reader of his intentions, or we can say the purpose in this poem. He says that he will now arise and go to the Isle of Innisfree. Now, the very first line, as you can see, I will arise and go now. The very first line shows the poet's determination that he must and will go to Innisfree. Now, after going to Innisfree, he plans to build a small house. Cabin, the meaning of cabin is a house. Now, he plans to build a small house for himself. After that, he plans to grow some. He plans to build that house with wattles and clay. Now, what are wattles, children? Wattles are twisted sticks for making fences. We can say boundary. Now, once he has done that, okay, he dreams of planting 9 bean rows. Okay, he dreams of planting 9 bean rows plants, or you can say garden, and have a beehive. As why he plans to have those things after building a house, because after going there, he'll need some food to feed himself. And finally, in the last stanza of the poem, the last line, he says that he will live alone in tranquility. Tranquility means peace. Okay, he'll live alone in peace in this small open space, surrounded by nature, surrounded by the beehives. Okay, the buzzing of the beehives. So he'll be living in the place which will be surrounded by nature, with the music of nature, like the buzzing of the bees. Now, let's come to the second stanza of the poem. I hope the meaning of the first stanza is clear to everyone. So, let's come to the second stanza of the poem. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evenings full of the linnet's wings. So, in the second stanza of the poem, we see that the reason behind poet's desire to travel to Innisfree, okay, is to find some peace. He wants to live alone so that nobody can disturb him. Okay, and in the second stanza, in the second stanza, we see that how poet is how the poet feels peace. Okay, he says that feeling of peace is felt slowly, as you can just see in the very first line. I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow. So you can see the phrase, the P for peace comes for peace comes dropping slow. So this phrase means that the poet wants to say that the feeling of peace is felt slowly. Here the poet describes how he would feel peace. Okay, in this stanza he describes that how he would feel peace. Now the poet will feel peaceful when he sees the beautiful view of early cloudy morning. Okay, it will appear as if morning has worn a veil and hidden itself. Okay, now for him, the poet will find peace by hearing the cricket's soothing song and the music of nature. Now here, there midnight all a glimmer and noon a purple glow. So in this line the poet describes the midnight sky of Innisfree, where he will see the twinkling stars in the open sky, and in the afternoon, noon here is afternoon, and in the afternoon the sunlight will give a purple glow. So it will also give him peace. Whom will it give peace, children? It will give these all sights, okay, of nature will will give peace to the poet. Now in the last line, an evening's full of the linnet's wings. Linnet is the name of a bird. Okay. He will be at peace when he will see the linnet bird flying in the sky during the evening. So this was the meaning of the second stanza of the poem. Now let's move to the last stanza of the poem. Sorry. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear the lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. While I stand on the roadway or on the pavement's grey, I hear it in the deep heart's core. So here in this last stanza of the poem, the poet shakes himself out of his daydream and says that he will now get up, he will now stand and go to Innisfree. Here he is emphasizing his resolution to go to Innisfree. The poet continues by telling us that he hears the water lapping with low sounds by the shore, which keeps on happening all day and night. It seems that the sound of lake water is attracting him. Okay, so whenever he is standing on a roadside, okay, which is which is a noisy and polluted place, he is reminded of the lapping sound of lake water against the shore. Now, while I hear it in the deep heart's core. So deep down, the poet longs for a break from his monotonous and busy life of the loud city and go to Innisfree. So this was the meaning of the last stanza of the poem. Now through this poem, the poet has tried to give a very simple message. He has tried to convey a simple message that a simple life surrounded by nature, brings uninterrupted peace and joy to our soul, whereas the life of material comforts offered by cities and you can say the pollution and crowds always creates disturbance for us. So let's move to the poetic device of this poem, children. So we'll talk about the first thing, that is the rhyme scheme of the poem. So as I've already mentioned previously, that the stanza is, the stanza is the stanza has got 4 lines. So the stanza having 4 lines are termed as quatrain, and each quatrain, you can say here, has got alternate rhyme, which means that the words of the alternate lines are rhyming with each other. For example, Innisfree is rhyming with the Innisfree is rhyming with the alternative this word, that is honeybee, and maid is rhyming with glade. So we'll have the rhyme scheme as A, B. So why we have marked B, children, not A? Because maid is not rhyming with Innisfree. So we have marked it as A and we have made it as B. Now, since Innisfree is rhyming with honeybee, so we'll mark again it as A, and maid is rhyming with glade, so we'll mark it as B. So the rhyme scheme of the first stanza is A, B, A, B. Let's move to the second stanza of the poem. Slow, sings, glow, wings. Slow, glow, sings, wings. Again, we'll mark it as A, B, A, B. So again, you can see the rhyme scheme of the second stanza is A, B, A, B. Now let's move to the last stanza of the poem. Day, shore, grey, core. So day is again rhyming with grey and shore is rhyming with core. So here also we'll write A, B, A, B. So the rhyme scheme of the poem is A, B, A, B. This is the rhyme scheme of the poem. Now let's talk about another poetic device in the poem, that is alliteration. So what is alliteration, children? Alliteration is that poetic device, okay, which is defined, which is when we see that the repetition of consonant sound, okay, it means the repetition of consonant sound. For example, we have hive, honeybee. So which sound is being repeated? H, her. Okay, so here in this hive and honeybee, H sound is being repeated. So this is an example of alliteration. So let's see in the second stanza if we have an example of alliteration or not. So I don't think we have any example of alliteration in the second stanza. No, we do not have. So let's move to the third stanza of the poem. Lake, L, water lapping. Okay, so lake, water lapping with low. So we have the repetition of L sound, lake, lapping, low. So which sound is being repeated, children? L sound is being repeated. So this is another example of alliteration. So we have two examples of alliteration. That is, in the first stanza, H sound is repeated, and in the last stanza, L sound is being repeated. So we have two examples of alliteration. Now let's move to the third poetic device, that is repetition. So what is repetition, children? Repetition is, when any word or any line is being repeated again and again, then that is repetition. Now you can see the very first line of the first stanza of the poem. I will arise and go now. Okay, so can you see this line? I will arise and go now. In the very first line of the first stanza of the poem, and again you can see in the last stanza, the very first line, I will arise and go now. So you can see these two lines have been repeated. So this is a perfect example of repetition. Now again let's move to the next poetic device, that is personification. So can anyone say me which word has been personified or what has been personified, children? Yes, you're absolutely right. Morning in the second stanza has been personified. As you can see, dropping from the veils of the morning. So what is veil, children? Veil is a piece of cloth which is used to cover the face of a girl. Okay, so morning here has been addressed as a girl or as a woman. Okay, so morning has been personified. Now let's move to the next poetic device, or you can call it a last poetic device in the poem, that is metaphor. Okay, so metaphor here, whales have been compared to the clouds. So this is a perfect example of metaphor. So I hope you all might have understood the poetic devices as well as the meaning of the poem, the explanation of the poem. So kids, go through this poem once again and try to understand the meaning of this poem. Thank you.